Hello, everyone, and welcome to Education 380 and Education 500. In case you're wondering why I said both, this is a cross-listed class, and we have both undergraduate and graduate students in it. There is a small difference between the two, which I will get into later. But maybe most importantly, I am Dr. Allen. I saw some familiar names, so I think many of you may know this. This is an asynchronous class, but I do record videos every week for better or for worse to kind of give you I guess a face again for better or worse to associate with the class and a voice for better or worse. Uh, I do these just to kind of help out just a few things before we kind of delve into anything. I'm just going to go ahead and just go for it with the syllabus. But one thing I do want to kind of make note of, I usually try to record these in one take. If I was in the classroom and messed it up, I would just keep going. I kind of operate with that with the videos because if I try to make it Oscar quality, I would probably be here for about 3 months because I kind of can get a little bit of a perfectionist. So if you hear some ums or ahs or me looking for something or a hiccup or a cough, I'm just going to keep going. I may try to edit it out, but it may be clunky when you watch it. So I may not try to edit it out. With all that being said, they're one take. They're not going to be perfect. I know that, but hopefully they help. Now, with all that mumbo jumbo said, let's go ahead and jump into the class. If you are registered for this class, again, you should be in Education 380 or Education 500. And the very first thing I want to do is kind of touch base on a few things on the syllabus. Um, the most important thing is if you are in Education 380, I'm going to, and you'll get an email about this, so you probably already know, but I'm going to move you into the Education 500 class. There are many more graduate students and undergrad students this summer. It doesn't matter one way or the other, but I kind of like us all in one spot. So if you want, so you can look at discussion boards and things like that. I'm going to use the Education 500 syllabus only because they're pretty much the same thing. There's one small difference, and I just want to point it out. So again, with all that being said, let's just go ahead and look at the class, and we'll talk about the first week also. So, but I think you need a little bit of an overview. Most importantly, this is an asynchronous class. We don't have a regular class meeting. When I put these videos up, they're up all week. You can watch them whenever you want. Hopefully you watch them. Uh, being summer, I don't have set office hours, but please contact me if you need to meet or email me. I'm pretty good about email. I'm going to go ahead and make note of this, and you'll probably hear me say it about 500 times between now and the 15th of July. I'm actually going to be in the UK for a week from the 15th to the 22nd. I will still have internet and things like that. I will definitely be checking my email if there's any issues. I'm probably going to open weeks 2 and 3 up at the same time just so they're open. I just want to make you aware of that because if you do email me between the 15th and the 22nd, I'll definitely respond. But if you email me at like 10 o'clock at night, I'm probably going to be asleep because I think they're 5 hours ahead. Uh, but I will get back to you. I do check my email every day and I will check it there. But you'll hear that again. Um, if you do need to find me, actually, I just moved offices. I need to update this. I'm actually in 114C now. If you are aware where Dr. Tuttle's office is or where the history department is, I'm in that U if you need to find me. In the summer, it's usually best to email and we can set something up or and such. Hopefully everything will go smooth. I'm not going to spend too much time on the actual honor code or anything like that. I guess to sum it up, please don't cheat. Um, But the course itself, main things that we're going to do in this course are technology for the classroom. That's a whole lot of description to basically say we're going to look at some things that hopefully you can use as educators in the classroom. We'll talk a little bit about 21st century skills. I was putting this class together a little bit last night, and I was thinking about that. I mean, we're 25 years into 21st century skills, so I don't know how up to date they are, but they seem to kind of be like what's old is new again. So it's critical thinking, things like that. We'll talk a little bit about that actually in week 1 and week 2. Just to kind of cruise through here. This is up for anyone that wants to look at it. I will send a separate 380 to the 380 students, and it will be posted in the 380 section just in case you need it. I don't think I have my copy with me in my office, which is ridiculous, but the textbook for this class is Tech Like a Pirate. It is not a very long book. Let me see if I brought it. Maybe I was smart. I did not told you this would be very unofficial. I did not. I will make sure to put a link. There is a link up for the book, and I'll show it when we jump out of here. But the book is Tech Like a Pirate. It's kind of a practical book. It's not a deep academic book. It is what our discussion boards will be based on. In the summer, I do cut the discussion boards back a little bit, so we'll look at them, but the discussion boards still will be related to the Tech Like a Pirate book. Hopefully it'll be useful. Like I say, some of it has resources and it's just practical. Kind of just looking to make sure I'm not thinking anything. Again, make sure that you do your own work. If you need any help, the collaborative lab is actually here on campus. We have some computers that you can borrow if you would happen to need it. Weather will not be a problem in an asynchronous class unless it's heat. I guess storms. Oh, that is one thing. I'm glad I shouldn't say that. We have had this happen before. If for some reason you're somewhere and we get a really bad storm and your power goes out for a day or two or your internet goes out, just email me. We can make it work. I'm flexible in these regards. Just when it happens, let me know. Or if you think it's going to be a while, let me know. It has happened in the summer, so I shouldn't say that we've never had weather issues, especially on asynchronous. We have some pretty bad storms in July sometimes. So just let me know again if something weird happens. Plagiarism again. Do your own work, but the reason I bring this up, we're actually going to talk a good bit about AI. There's a lot of stuff. Actually, some of it's pretty cool. And I'm kind of going to use this summer class to kind of trial and error a few things with AI to see what you all think about it, if it's something I should continue in the class or not. But we'll get into that with each week. You will have a writing assignment. I'll talk about that. Actually, if you're in the graduate, you have 2 writing assignments. We'll talk about that as we get a little farther into the weeks. Just make sure that if you do, when we look at to say this in a more clear way, the summer is a very busy calendar. And what I mean is we're basically doing a semester condensed into a month. I do try to make some edits and cut some things where I think I can cut. One, because it's a lot to grade, and 2, it's just I don't want to overwhelm everyone, but we still got to have the heart of the semester in there. So basically what I'm saying is if you don't have something in on time, we're going to operate basically from a Monday to Sunday schedule. But if something comes up, I know summer gets a little crazy, just tell me ahead of time. If you're going on vacation, for example, and you're leaving Sunday morning and you're going to Florida and it's a long drive and you're not going to get in till like 9 a.m. or 9 p.m., just email me. Hopefully you might have it done ahead of time. But if you have that time on Sunday, just email me and say, hey, Dr. Allen, I'm going to submit this on Monday if that's okay with you. You might have to email it to me. Just let me know ahead of time. It's a lot easier for me to plan in advance than to do things retroactively, if that makes sense. And as teachers, it's something that you need to get in the habit of thinking, I got to give everyone the heads up, so to speak. So basically, just let me know in advance. Again, here's the things that we're going to do. One, you're going to do a lesson plan brainstorm. It says lesson plans brainstorming. I'll fix that typo. That's something I'll get into in a couple weeks, but you will do something where you're going to plan on how you would use technology in the classroom. I know this is a very unique class where we'll have people who are almost ready to student teach, and we'll have people who haven't junctured yet. So the lesson plan brainstorming activity kind of just has you outline a lesson plan more than it does have you actually plan a lesson. Also, there are discussion boards. There'll be 5, and again, they're based on the readings. Posts should be around 200 words. Give or take, I'd rather have quality over quantity. So if there's something that has 195 words, but I think it's really good, that's fine. But 200, most people like to have a number to shoot for, and 200 is it. And that's not to say there could be 250 words and it's not quality. I do read them. So make sure that, they don't have to be publishable, but they need to be well thought out related to the readings. Class resources. This is probably the heart of the class in some regards. Each week, you're going to have a certain amount of technology, classroom technologies that you're going to use. and experiment with. We're basically going to do, I'm going to do this. It's a quick dive. So for example, this first week, we're going to look at Google Classroom. Probably everyone here has actually done something or worked in Google Classroom. We're not going to build a monster of a class. I just want you to be familiar with what it is and what the tool is, and is something that you might want to be familiar with, or it might be something you want to goof around with a little more in the future. Each week when you have these technologies, again, it's a little different in the fall, but I'd say most weeks we're going to have 2 to 3 different technologies. You need to pick one of those technologies. I call it a blog. It's really just kind of a quick review or reflection, and just state in like 2 sentences why you like it. So I thought Google Classroom was great because it allows me to get organized, and it's something that most school districts use. Bam. That's it. You don't have to like it. I own no stock in any of these techs. You might even say, I hate Google Classroom. I think it's clunky. I don't understand all the clicking. That's fine. By the way, Google Classroom is just an example. That's really what I'm looking for. Just a couple of sentences. I'm really interested in when we do the AI, what your all's thoughts are, because the tools, I'm messing with them as much as I can, but I will be interested in see what you all say about whether some of the AI tools are thumbs up, thumbs down. We'll talk about the technology certificate as we get to the end. There's different ones. I'm probably going to have you do the Google AI one. I believe I have one here this semester. It's not complex. It's our final week. It's kind of our final exam. And there is an observation exercise. I'll talk about that in a couple weeks. And for graduate students only, undergrad, you do not have this. This is the difference. There is a research paper requirement for the graduate section. Again, I don't want to dump everything on just this week. I'll probably go into this a little more depth in week 2. I will also send out a separate email to all the graduate students related to the research paper assignment. But just the long and short of it, you need to pick something tech related and write about it and do a little bit of research. I'm not usually picky about the topic. It could be from a student's point of view. It could be a specific tech. It could be a trend like AI. It seems like AI is what everyone's doing. A lot of people wrote about the COVID influence on the classrooms, good and bad before. It's just something with a tech spin that there's a little bit of research. Again, I'll follow up with that one, and I will also follow up with this. But most weeks you're going to have a technology, a blog, and a discussion. Those are constant. And then there's usually one little add-on. And here's kind of the breakdown. This is slightly different for undergrads because you don't have the research paper. I will send that out, but just so you know, when you're doing the reviews of the technologies, you'll see there's just some of the ones that we're going to do. They're 10 points. We're going to have 500 points total. And there's kind of another breakdown for you if you need it. This is our weeks. We'll go into this every time, but I did try to just color code them just so you can kind of know. Summer's a little tricky sometimes planning because I feel like it's so much, but we have to look at it. So what I've done is as you can see, our initial week is all done in yellow, and then week 2 will be in that salmon, then blue, purple, and then we have a very short week for the green. Again, I'm planning on opening 2 and 3 up at the same time since I'll be out kind of staggered in those 2, but again, I will be available for any questions or anything like that. I think that's kind of the nuts and bolts of the syllabus. Feel free to look at it. This is all just alignment with our accreditation. Now, with all that being said, in the summer, feel like we got to kind of hit the ground running. So when you come in, and actually I'm just going to go to our course home, just in case you need it. There's my face, there's my hours, there's the links to the syllabus and such. And I do post every week an overview of what we're going to be doing. Also, if you go here, I think most people are probably familiar with the template. I'm still kind of updating as we're looking here, and some of this will be consolidated. I'm trying to get everything just in week 1, week 2, week 3. I used to do multiple ones. I think it's a little confusing, so I've kind of tried to get everything in there. So everything that we're going to be doing in week 1 is right here. Click the arrow. As you can see, there's the breakdown, and here's all the links. I did put a link to ditch my textbook or ditch that textbook because that's kind of associated with the Tech Like a Pirate and the Teach Like a Pirate, if you've ever heard of that. If you had Dr. Johnson, I know a lot of you, Dr. Johnson is your advisor. She has talked about Teach Like a Pirate before. But let me get back out of here. Also, there's 21st century skills. I'll talk about those a little bit each week probably and make a reference to them. So if you want to kind of look, I just put an article up here on them. Basically, here's what you need to know. There's the list. When you do your brainstorming activity, you're going to make some alignments, but they're basically, I'm going to summarize this as easy as I can. In the year 2000, everyone was coming up with these 21st century skills and rankings and what we need to do in the 2000s. I don't know when everyone was born. I mean, I graduated from Shepherd as an undergrad, if you look at my bio, in 1998. So I remember all this pretty vividly, Y2K. Anyway, when you go in here, they're pretty straightforward. Critical thinking, creativity, collaboration, communication. Those are the big, they call those the 4 C's, and they're the big ones. And if you look here, they're right here. They'll talk about life skills, literacy skills, and they kind of go in there, but that's the learning skills ones right there. And there's your 4 C's. Just to reiterate that, because I think I talked a little quick. When we're talking about learning skills, a lot of times they all root back to those 4 C's: critical thinking, creativity, collaboration, and communication. And again, it kind of gets into that if you want to explore a little more. But that link is up here. And again, I'll float back and forth with that. The next thing this week, you are going to do a blog, you are going to do a discussion. The first thing that this link to discussion is right here. And it is on, I just made it on chapter 1 of Tech Like a Pirate, because I know we're going to be kind of getting our foot in the door and kind of situated on how we're doing things. But the big thing is you want to make sure that you read chapter 1. And he does talk about the concept of how teachers have a fear of failure. I think we all have that. And of course, it gets into that's how you learn. It's a hard thing to do, though, when you're an educator, because you're modeling and you're talking in front of these classes. I'll be the first person to tell you, though, I don't feel like I was. The moment I left, I taught for 15 years in middle school mostly. I still was like learning skills related to classroom management, things all the time. It wasn't until year 3 that I felt like I could, okay, if I mess up, I can fix it here. You're probably going to experience this when you student teach, where you'll have, especially if you're in secondary, you might be teaching a lesson on, I'm going to use social studies, that's my background, on the American Revolution, period 1, and then you're going to teach it again in 3rd period. You'll probably find the second time you go through, or in 3rd period, it'll go a little smoother. Again, you kind of figure out what works or not. With all that being said, you are going to read chapter 1 and you're going to answer either one of these questions about what the author Matt Miller is kind of alluding to with Tech Like a Pirate. The blog, we're going to talk about this. The texts that we're going to look at this week are going to be websites, Google Classroom, and actually I'll allow you, if you want to do Google Arts and Culture, because we're going to do a little intro. Because if you look on here, I don't think I have posted mine yet, but I would like everyone there. I'll show you where it is on the Google like waffle. But if you go to your app, I'm sure everyone has one of these. It's a smartphone. You need to look for in your apps, Google Arts and Culture. And it's going to be like a little, I don't know if you can see it. Let me hold it up there. It's the black background with a white symbol there. I'm trying to do this with the camera right there. You want to load that up. And when you go in there and you load it, it's going to do this little thing and it should pop up. And there's a lot of cool things on here. If you're an art teacher or music teacher, social studies teacher, English teacher, science teacher, math teacher, there's things for everything related to this. It's really cool to check out. The only assignment we're going to do, though, is a little bit of an icebreaker. If you look, there should be something related to, there's a lab, games, and camera. At the very top, you're going to want to hit camera. And then there's something called Art Selfie 2 or Art Selfie. You need to take a picture of yourself in either one of those. You can either download it or you can screenshot it and embed it. And you're going to put it on the discussion board and you're going to do a little intro. Just kind of like it says there, a brief bio. You know, your content area that you're focusing in. Again, mine, social studies. I'll have mine up too, by the way. Then you're going to do an art selfie and you're going to put it on there. You can also talk a little bit about yourself, like hobbies. Like, for example, Dr. Allen. I've been here now at Shepherd. This is going into my 7th year here. I taught for 15 years, social studies, love social studies. I coordinate social studies here at Shepherd. I like to travel, like to golf, like to read, hang with my family. That's pretty much all my time. More than enough, but I enjoy all those things and of course work. So that's it. So just a little bio. There's no word count associated with the bio. It's just to kind of get some familiarity with everyone since we are meeting asynchronous. But to revert back, once you load this app up and you have the art selfie or AI selfie, you're going to pick one. I like the art selfie. You're going to hold it up. I'm doing this now and it'll put your face in that little box. I don't know if you can see it. You may have seen this before. You're going to take an art selfie and it's going to match you to an art selfie. And you're going to take that and you're going to either screenshot it or save the file and post it up on the Brightspace site. Simple as that. And just kind of say, you can even say, I don't think this looks anything like me. It's terrible. And if you don't like your picture, that's fine. You can take another picture, or if you look, you can fish through and there's different ones that it matches it. And it tells you about the artwork. So it's just supposed to be a little fun. If you have any problems with it, just email me. Again, I'll post the directions. The directions are up, but and just put it on the discussion. This is a different discussion topic than discussion one. And I will give a few points, so you'll kind of get a few extra credit points here for doing the art selfie. So art selfie, discussion one. And now week one. And I will apologize. Most of the time in the fall, I will tell everyone I try to keep the videos around 15 minutes. Summer, it's a little tough because we're covering a whole lot. To supplement that a little bit, all the assignments are here. I have videos up of all the technologies on YouTube. Some of these are, all of them probably, are more polished than what I'm going to do. I'll give you a little bit of a touch background, but if you need to go to this and use the YouTube videos, please don't, it would not offend me at all. I would never even know. And actually, I would, in some regards, probably recommend it just because some of these people, all they do is ed tech type stuff. So with that being said, what are some of the things you have to do? Well, the first thing you have to do is create a website. And I'm actually going to jump down here. There should be something called PowerPoint without lecture. I put it on there. See if I can get this thing out. I also have e-planning. I'm not going to talk about that, but one thing you're going to find when you go out into the classroom is this sounds, it's almost like automatically done now, but it wasn't that long ago. People not every school was using LMSs or learning management systems, which we kind of use as our home base now. Google Classroom is a learning management system. Brightspace, which we're on, is a learning management system. There's a lot of advantages to having this. I personally always had a website because it was mine. So if I left that school district, I had access to all the information I had. So I actually would use it as a storage. There's other things you can do now with that, but I want to show you how to make a website, specifically probably through Google. It's just the easiest. But there are advantages to using all this. It's paperless, accountability because things are posted. Someone can't tell you they didn't know. And it helps with differentiated instructions because you can tier things or make sure that it is posted if they need to print out handouts or anything like that. It's easy to find. Again, home base, you can put news, blast, things like that for teachers. There's a lot of advantages for students. You can do collaborative learning because they can all look at things. If they're absent, they can go to the site and find what they might have missed in terms of assignments or maybe potential lectures. If you record your lectures, I don't think a whole lot of people do that, but you could theoretically. And again, it just makes your class look modern if you're using a website or a learning management system. I'll add that in there, but if you use a website, it definitely, I think, adds a little bit of pop, so to speak, to your class. For parents, again, it's a location for them to check on information if their students say, hey, I have no homework, and you have your homework posted. I will say this, whether you use a learning management system or a website, keep it up to date. That's the big thing. Parents do look. And it also allows for transparency, like the parents know what's going on in your classroom. And it also keeps parents a little more on the ball in terms of knowing that they need to have a vested interest in things. So again, websites, learning management systems, all very important. Keep information posted. There's a lot of different websites that you can use. I'm going to focus on websites at the moment because it's just, I think it's important. It's a good way to this is an intuitive class, and just kind of figuring out how to make these websites is very, very important. But there's Google, Weebly, and Wix. I will be the first to tell you, I prefer Weebly more than any other. you can pick whatever you want to do for this assignment. You're not going to do all of these. I know I put on here, we're going to focus on Weebly and Wix. I'm actually going to focus on Google though, because I've thought about this a little bit this morning, and I think, there it went. Sorry, my screen went. You might have still seen me with no blank screen. I don't know. But anyway, I'm back. I think Google's the easiest to use. Visually, I like Weebly and Wix, but I think practicality. Also, you can have students make websites, and if you want to have them make a website, I think it's Google is the easiest. So it's plug and play, and I'll show you what that means. But this was, I'll post my website. It's still up, but I used it a lot. And as you can see, this was a Weebly site. These are just screenshots, and I would literally just go to the pages and create them. It's the same for all of them. You would click a little add button and they were there. You can, and you would just drag, like, for example, I would take title and I would just drag it and pop it there and type. As you can see, I don't know if they're still on there. No, you could put YouTube videos. I would just, right where I'm highlighting, you would just drag YouTube like tool over there, a little appy looking thing, and drop it. And then you would just put the YouTube video in. Again, I'll show you here in a sec. And here's some things. Wasn't flashy, but I always put my files up so parents knew where to go. I'm dating myself a little bit. I just had a habit of the website. Even when my school had a learning management system, I just found that parents would go to the website more. I think now after COVID, parents are I came here pre-COVID, right before COVID. I think now parents are conditioned to go to things like Schoology and such and find this information. But I did keep everything up. So I also had my students make websites. This is one on World War I with sixth graders, and they were doing something on the Red Baron. It wasn't anything complex, but they had to have a homepage, a bio, and then they had to put a YouTube video up. Okay, so what do you need to do for the website? You're going to make a title page with your name. You're going to have a header, whatever class. You can kind of imagine this. I'm not holding you to it, but it needs to be education related. And if you're in a specific content, it should be related to your content. Again, I do have YouTube videos put out if you need any help with this. It says Sakai. I've not updated this. Sakai is our old learning management system here at Shepherd. It is Brightspace. I'm glad this actually came up though, because when you put the link up, you're going to have to put it on a Word document and paste it. I don't know if you've ever run into this. Usually Brightspace won't let you put the link itself in there. You just put it on a doc and submit the doc with the link. But let me show you some things. I'm not going to worry about electronic planning right now. Let's see if we can get out of there. Let's go back up. If you look, let's just go out. Move my face. I was fiddling around a little bit this morning. When you go to Google, you will see this little waffle board. There's a whole lot of stuff here. We're going to talk about a little bit of this stuff. But Google Arts and Cultures there. I don't think you can do the art selfie still there. I think you need the app. Google Sites is in here, or you can just Google Sites. But when you do that, you will come to a place and you see right there where it says Sites. There's all this. And you can see these are ones that I've messed around with. What I would like you to do is, sorry, I'm almost sneezed. Hit that plus sign. And you can jazz these up as much as you want. But for example, you can put Mr. Allen, we'll just be official here, Dr. Allen's World History class. And as you can see, there's that. Now you can kind of jazz all this up here. You can add images. So if I hit that, you can upload an image, you can select an image. Let's do this. Let's do history. And you can put it there, there. And as you can see, you can kind of drag it. You can fiddle around. But I'd like your page to have a little pizzazz. It doesn't have to be anything fancy. It's just to show me that you can work with it. Then you got to make a couple pages. I want you also to have a page where you have a video and a handout on it. So you just hit page. you hit this little plus sign. As you can see, there's different ones you can do. Embed, new link, new page. We're going to do new page. New page is video on French Revolution. I'm not going to be too picky about the level of content or how to organize. I just, again, want to see if you can work it. As you can see, it's there. Now I'm going to insert, and there's different things you can do. And if you go down here, there's a whole bunch of tools down here too. You just hit YouTube and you hit French Revolution. And we'll do that. And we'll do a TED Talk. That's good. Boom. And again, you can kind of rearrange it how you want it, but I'll do it like that. You kind of pretty it up a little bit. I'm kind of doing this a little on the quick. There's that. Then if you go back, I would like you to add one more page. I will say this for this next page, I would like a handout of some type or message. Some people like to put classroom rules. Some people put a schedule. It doesn't have to be anything fancy, but just, put it on there. And actually, you've probably already seen, let's just say class handouts. Boom. You probably have already seen where you can actually go to your Google Drive. If you have anything in your Google Drive you just want to put there, that's fine. I just want to see that you can do it. They're all right there at the top. You can enter site name again. You can add a logo if you want. You can get really that. But those three things, I need to see three things: a home page, a video, and some sort of handout. You're going to publish it. Web address, 380-500 world history, and publish. And there you go. And you're going to share this. And as you can see, share with others. You're going to hit your little person in the plus sign. If you could, public, that's it. Just send it, copy with publish site. As long as it's a published site, you can just copy there. And that's what you're going to submit to me. That's all I need to do for the website. It's pretty simple. I just want you to get familiar with it. Maybe you want to have students do it. And then also just to get used to that it's out there. Maybe you need, this is more of a professional thing, but I usually make websites for when I do conferences. Some of you I've noticed weren't here on the graduate site. I'm going to show you something really quick. Weebly, you go there. If you go to Weebly, you don't have to, I won't show you this. There's videos on how to make Weebly sites, but let me go here. And I don't know why it makes me do this twice. It always does. I just want to show you some of mine, how I do it. Professionally, it's kind of nice because if you're going to present somewhere, it's a good spot that you can just pull up right there and just go about it. I'll show you what I got here. Slowly, possibly. This is how you make it. Again, check out the video, or if you want more details on how to make a Weebly site, just let me know. But as you can see, this is one I just did, and some of you may look, this might be familiar because I think some people attended it. We just did a teacher workshop on campus, and I actually created a page just so it was like a home page or a home base. And it had our speakers, it had a little overview on everything, had program and schedule. I think it's kind of nice. So if you ever have to do that, like coordinate like social studies fair for the school or anything, and they're pretty easy to kind of go over. And as you can see, there's more resources. I like them. Here's some of my older ones. Let's go back here. So you can see, where was my old one? I'll show it to you real quick. It's really dated now, but I probably haven't updated this thing. I might have cleaned it up a couple of times a few years ago, but there's the one. As you can see, I had history bowl and then different grades when I taught. I always kept my stuff up so I knew where it was. Again, if you leave somewhere, you know where it is, so you don't have to worry about it losing it. I had to do a semester or a year, 1 year teaching one language arts class because I had an English minor. You don't care about that, but just to let you know, it's there. So again, Weebly, just to show you, I like Weebly. Probably prefer it a little bit more than Google, but I just think more people are going to use Google just because of the simplicity. The beauty is in its simplicity. You may hear me say that a few times. So that's one thing. that you have to do, the Google site or the website. The other thing you have to do this time, and again, there's the website. The other one is the Google Classroom. I'm going to click on that. You're probably going to use Google Classroom more than you'll ever use a website. Or Schoology. And in case you're wondering why we don't do Schoology, because I know a lot of people will be teaching in Berkeley County. When the pandemic hit, we had to pay to use Schoology. It used to kind of have a free like sandbox, but it doesn't do that anymore, so we don't have access to it. When you get out in the field, though, sometimes Berkeley County will give you your own login, or your cooperating teacher would. I would recommend messing around with Schoology, especially if you're in Berkeley County, or Canvas if you're in Jefferson County, or anything like that. It's worth it. With that being said, we're going to actually do Google Classroom. I referenced G Suite. I think they've actually gotten rid of that now, but that was kind of the souped up version. And again, I got to clean that up. I'll fix that before we actually start class. I'm recording this on the 1st. I'll say Brightspace. But anyway, what you need to do is you're going to create a Google Classroom. And here's what you have to do. You have to create a Google Classroom. And in your space, you need to post an announcement. You need to embed a YouTube video again. And you need to put a hyperdoc in that. And then you're going to invite me to the class. You can also either send me the invite to Dr. Allen or my Shepherd email, or you can just post the enrollment code. Either one works. But in case you're wondering what a hyperdoc is, it's those live documents that you always see. Like I have a feeling you all probably know this more than, or have worked in them more than I have. But like if you're a language arts teacher and you have a document, and you want everyone to work on a document in class, and you have the questions they've just read of Mice and Men. Everyone can answer the questions. Like you're going to take question 1, you're going to take question 2, you're going to take question 3, and everyone works on the document at the same time. That's what a hyperdoc is. You can do them with PowerPoints, things like that. They're pretty neat, pretty common now, but that's, if you ever hear that term, I want you to add one in there. Like you could put, I'll show you when we go to the Google Classroom, but for example, you could just have, hey, there's a school dance this weekend, please sign up for cleanup or something like that. And that doc keeps going in there. I use hyperdocs on our OneDrive, which we'll talk about in a couple weeks. For my advising sign up. It's just easier for me because it's one doc and everyone can go in there and edit it. So let's go ahead and go here. When you go out to your Google homepage, oh, by the way, I have it on here. I always assume people have this. Please make sure you have a Google account. They're free. Make sure you have one though, because as we do the text, it makes signing up a lot easier. So you can just say sign in with Google. That's what you're going to want to do. So make sure you have one. If you're like me, you have like 3, but make sure you have a Google account, and it'll make your life a lot easier in this class. You don't have to have one, but I would strongly, strongly recommend it. With that being said, you're going to go back out to Google, look at your waffle. Here's all the apps. And again, there's cool ones. You're going to go down there. There should be one called Google Classroom. You're going to click that. I didn't clear to see if my Google Classroom was cleaned out, so hopefully I have space to show you this. If not, I'll jump out or delete one. Let's just go ahead and delete one. Unenroll. All right. Just a couple of them anyway. All righty. What we're going to do, when you go here, you're going to have a page. Yours will probably be clean. This looks like a mess. You're going to go up here to this, create or join a class. Hit the plus sign. You're going to create a class. That's what I was saying. If you saw where it said join class, let me go back here real quick. Where it says join class, if you just send me the class code, I can enroll also. If you don't want to send just the invite. But anyway, create class. I totally understand. You're going to create a class. I'm just going to go World History 2025. You can make this stuff up. Please don't, section 1, subject, social studies, room 14. Create. Okay. Boom. All right. So it's here. And there's your class code. That's what you can copy and actually just send to me if you want. Or again, you can invite, as you can see, you can invite class link. You can copy class code. Both of those work for the invite. We got here. Now, again, this is something you can jazz up. I'm not requiring it. But if you go up here, you can jazz up and put some images. As you can see, that has an old Grecian vase there, a little history. So we'll keep it. Here's announcements. So if you want to make an announcement, you just click there. This goes to all your students, and you're just going to do I don't care what the announcement is. It doesn't have to be anything long, but Welcome back from the summer. Hope it was a good one. Please make sure that you have your summer reading questions answered and ready to go tomorrow during our first class. Again, you can be creative. You can make up an assignment. I don't care. I just want to see you make an assignment. And again, there's other things you can add here. You can add things from Google Drive, but put that there. You're going to post it. Boom, it's there. Simple as that. Now, we want to do a little bit more, right? If you look here, there's classwork. You're going to create some classwork. There's a whole bunch here. There's an assignment, quiz assignment, question assignment. You're welcome to build this thing out as much as you can. I just want you to put, remember there was two things. I want you to put in an assignment, somehow get a YouTube video on there. So we're going to do, I'm on a French Revolution kick, I guess. But you know what? I'm going to the UK. We're going to do the English Civil War. Please view the following video on Oliver. And I'm going to hit Google or YouTube. Oliver Cromwell. And I'm going to look there. These are all great. There's an AI generated one. We'll just do this little bio one. Add video. Assign. You can have your due dates. I'm not going to put anything. I'm not requiring that. You can add your rubrics there if you want. You can create a rubric. I like Google Classroom. I'll be the first to admit. You're going to assign it. I like how it's set up. There it is. It's there. And if you go back, you can see it's been posted now too, so students can click it. Now, the next thing I want you to do is create a hyperdoc. Now, you can do a couple things. You can either do it on the announcements or you can do it on the classwork. We'll do it on classwork since we're in here. Assignment. Please pick a topic for the social studies fair. There is 6, 12, 12, 25. That is not the date. I'm just on it. Now, if you look here, there's a whole bunch. There's your Google Drive, your upload. I don't care what you do. When I say HyperDoc, I really want you to go to Google Drive. If you want to attach something instead, that I can live because that shows me that you've gotten it. But if you just hit Google Drive, you'll see a whole bunch of stuff that's going to pop up in mine. That's probably ridiculous. By the way, my site's up there too. You can actually add your website to the Google Class. If you look at my Drive, there's a whole bunch of things in here that people have done. You can also create, if you want to just create a sign up, you can do that. So let's just do that. Create a HyperDoc, Google Docs. We'll go in here and social studies sign up. I would like the document to be like a real document. I'm kind of just plugging it in here. What is your topic? And then I'll put up sign up. There it is. Okay, so that's all done. So I've created that. And of course, it's automatically saved. So let's go back. Let's go to Drive. Let's hope that it's there. Recent. There it is. Look at that. Look at that. And we'll put it there. We'll assign it. It's there. That's it. That's what you need to do. And it's all there. Again, you're going to send me this code or send me the invite. I don't care which. Copy class invite code. Either one works. If you see Jalen 1066 in your class, that's me. But that's kind of the three things that you have to do. So let's jump back. This is a lot. I know this is the one thing for summer classes with these videos I know get a little long. What do you need to do this week? If you ever in doubt, go back to your things and it'll go over, but the assignments are listed. So you're going to do course overview video. This is this. You're going to look over the syllabus. You're going to blog. I have Google Arts and Culture. I'm going to take that off. I don't care if you blog on Google Arts and Culture, the website, or Google Classroom. Any of those work. 2 to 3 sentences. We're gonna do discussion 1 on Tech Like a Pirate. And you're gonna create a website and you're gonna do the Google Classroom creation. I see a couple little typos. I will have that cleaned up before you actually look at this next week. And that's week 1. It is due Sunday, the 13th by 11:59. I will do my best to get everything graded ASAP. I try to work within a week. I'm flying out on the 15th. I hope to have everything kind of graded before then. If not, you may even see me have grades posted during while I'm there, because I'm sure I'll be laying in bed, probably exhausted from the day. So enough about me. I feel like this video got a little long. I hope everyone enjoys this class. It is really supposed to be a class to help you out. It's not supposed to be anything too complicated. I think it's a very good summer class. So again, don't hesitate to email me any questions. Don't hesitate to try something or experiment with something. And if the tech's giving you problems, just contact. It's no big deal. So with all that being said, I'm going to stop the recording and let you all get on your merry way. I look forward to seeing everyone. Look forward to talking to everyone. Look forward to looking at some websites and classrooms this week. So thank you very much.